This 1944 photograph of Jake McNiece putting war paint on his fellow paratroopers gave them all international notoriety.
Major Reisman, you are ordered by Allied command to select 12 general prisoners.
This 1967 film, based on their heroics, gave them something more.
But you only made one mistake then. Fired.
Criminal records.
You let somebody see you do it.
Hollywood's Dirty Dozen were convicts given a second chance. And while it's true that, like Lee Marvin in the movie,
you're still the dirtiest soldiers in this man's army, and you're getting filthier every day.
Jake McNiece commanded a dozen hygienically and professionally challenged soldiers. McNiece says none were criminals. And unlike Marvin's character, McNiece was just as challenged, if not more so. So in reality, this was a fraternity of 13, not 12. And they weren't the Dirty Dozen, but the Filthy 13, a moniker they earned.
We never washed a piece of clothing. We never shined any shoes or boots. And we didn't salute officers. We didn't go for any of that malarkey, you know.
Now 87, at home with his wife Martha, it's hard to see Jake McNiece as a troublemaker. But 63 years ago, the ex-Ponca City football star was full of fight. And he figured he could get his fill as a paratrooper. With the 101st Airborne, McNiece quickly developed a reputation for being undisciplined, but also for being a fearless leader. On D-Day, the 101st needed a group of men to infiltrate enemy lines, blow up 2 bridges, and secure a 3rd. McNiece volunteered for what most believed was straight suicide. He says heavy enemy fire forced him to jump early, and many of his men landed right in a German bivouac area.
There was a lot of them killed right there in the bivouac area, and then we never could get together, and we were just killed individually then. And by daybreak, I was down to 2 men.
But McNiece picked up men from other units and completed the mission. 6 months later, with members of McNiece's own 101st Airborne pinned down in strategically situated Bastogne, he was called on again. His commander told him the troops were in dire need of supplies.
And said, "You're going to jump in there and set up a aerial resupply." I said, "You can't even find Bastogne in this kind of weather."
But the weather finally broke, and McNiece and company got safely down and immediately began setting up the radar that would guide supply planes in.
They were down to around 10 rounds of ammunition per gun when I dropped in there. And, of course, they had no blood supply or anything.
Within an hour, McNiece says, the first supply planes were on their way.
In 3 days, I brought in 1,440 tons of equipment. The success of our area broke the Battle of the Bulge and saved the 101st Airborne Division.
In all, McNiece made 4 combat jumps: Normandy, Holland, Bastogne, and Prüm, Germany. Amazing, considering the average lifetime for a paratrooper was 1.5 jumps. He remembers being asked once by a young recruit how he had survived 4 jumps.
I said, I'm the biggest goof-off that the Army ever saw. And I said, the Lord only had 2 places he was putting people in. I said, heaven or hell. And I said, he was afraid to stick me in either one of them, afraid I'd goof it up.
Jake McNiece is an Oklahoma original. He remained a buck private through the war and was proud of it. He co-authored this book on the Filthy 13 a few years ago if you want to learn more about them. But the one thing you need to know about Jake McNiece, at a recent reunion, a reporter asked one of his men what kind of a leader Jake was. The man replied he would have followed Jake to hell. Jake McNiece may have been filthy, but he certainly wasn't dirty.